Series of U-turns, defeats in Parliament even when the government has a majority, and ministers, including cabinet ministers, openly questioning the authority of the Prime Minister. Does the Prime Minister agree that these are signs of a government in terminal decline?
Mr. Speaker, once again he cannot ask questions about the economy or about swine flu or about the difficult decisions that we have got to take in the world. Once again, he reduces everything to personality. We are getting on with the business of governing.
If the Prime Minister got out and knocked on a few more doors, he'd realise that his leadership is the issue. He likes to talk about these issues of substance. His failure to reform welfare, his failure to deal with the deficit, his failure to run a united cabinet, they've all got two things in common. They're failures and they're his failures. So, let us take the state of his cabinet. This weekend, the Communities Secretary wrote an article calling the government's performance lamentable. Given she is openly mocking the Prime Minister and his authority, what's she still doing in the cabinet?
Speaker, what would be unacceptable is if we followed the policies of the Conservative Party. What would be lamentable is we have adopted their policy for doing absolutely nothing. Once again, he has got nothing to say about the big issues of the day. Once again, he's got nothing to say about unemployment. Once again, he's got nothing to say about the help we're giving people for housing. Once again, he's got nothing to say about help with businesses. Talking about U-turns, this is the man who promised to support the government through the economic crisis. And within a few days, he'd abandoned that promise with his U-turn.
Community Secretary Hazel Blears, who's standing by the Speaker, nodding in agreement there.
The Communities Secretary, she's appeared, I'm glad she's still here. She didn't write an article about the NHS. She didn't write an article about unemployment. She didn't write an article about the recession. She wrote an article about his leadership and his failure of authority. Let me just read out what she said. YouTube if you want to. How much more mocking can you get than that? All too often we announce 5-year plans or launch new documents, often with colossal price tags that are received by the public with incredulity at best and hostility at worst. Whatever the problems of the recession, she wrote, the answer is not more government documents or big speeches. Now, having just made a big speech, who on earth does the Prime Minister think she's referring to? Doesn't he realise his government simply cannot go on like this? Let me ask him again, why is she still in the Cabinet?
What we are taking on the recession is action. We are helping the unemployed get back into work, opposed by the Conservatives. We are helping people with their mortgages, opposed by the Conservatives. We are helping people get help with their businesses for their cash flow, opposed by the Conservatives. We're going to give a September schools guarantee to every school leaver giving school that they'll get work or training or educational support. And you know, Mr. Speaker, it's also opposed by the Conservative. Let's talk about the real issues in government. He's making big decisions in difficult times, and he's simply not up to the task.
The big issue in British politics today is the fact the man who's meant to be leading our country shows such appalling judgment. That is the reason he's losing his authority. Let us look at the string of misjudgments we've seen. The Prime Minister has made U-turns on Titan prisons, the internet database, MPs' expenses, and that humiliating defeat on the Gurkhas. Why does he think he got so many judgments so badly wrong?
Speaker, if he wants to talk about U-turns, the biggest U-turn is him supporting public spending and then now saying he will not match our public spending. The biggest U-turn on education is to support money for education and then now to say he's going to cut it. The biggest U-turn is to say he was supporting us on the police and is now cutting police expenditure. Let us remember, he was the hug a hoodie. That was another of his big U-turn. Mr. Speaker, compassionate conservatism, it's gone, gone and gone.
I'm sure that sounded just great in the bunker. While the mobile phones were flying and the printers were flying around the room. The biggest U-turn of all is the Prime Minister who fought the last election accusing us of £35 billion of spending cuts, on his own arithmetic has cut £85 billion off his own spending. If he is so confident of his arguments, if he's so confident of his judgments, if he thinks he's on the right side of these arguments, why doesn't he do what Margaret Thatcher did and Tony Blair did after 4 years of a parliament and call a general election?
Mr. Speaker, the reason I am confident about what we're doing is there's nobody in the world supporting the policies of his party. Go to America, go to Germany, go to France, go to Italy. He's got no supporters in Europe because he's completely isolated, because he wants to cut spending during a recession, and everybody else recognises you cannot cut your way out of recession. You've got to invest your way out of recession. The Conservative Party are in the dark ages on policy. They've got to think again.
The Prime Minister talks about isolated. He's isolated in his own cabinet. He's the only one who thinks he's any good. What is it about this Prime Minister and elections? He wouldn't fight an election to win the leadership of the Labour Party. He didn't fight an election to become Prime Minister. And he hasn't got the courage to go to the country now. Isn't the truth this, that what Britain needs is a strong Prime Minister with a united party capable of taking the long-term decisions? Instead, we've got a wasted year with an utterly busted government. No one doubts he might have come into politics for the right reasons, but isn't it clear he's just not up to the job? The public know it, his party know it, and now the Cabinet knows it. So why not do the last bold thing left to him? Call an election.
Mr. Speaker, I've listened to his 6 questions, and not one of them has been about policy. He's never raised the cause of the unemployed in Britain once. He's not mentioned mortgage holders and homeowners once. He's not mentioned small businesses once. He's not mentioned the state of the economy and what we can do to improve it once. He's not mentioned the public services once. He's not mentioned health and education once. He's completely out of his depth when it comes to the big issues in the country.